All right, welcome to the first review of a franchise that I have never really fell in love with, even though it has been in my life for what I can say forever. Sorry to disappoint some people. I've always been a Lord of the Rings guy. I'm always going to throw on Lord of the Rings before Star Wars. I've always been way more interested in that side of storytelling kind of things. And when it comes to epics, Star Wars has just never really gravitated towards me. No reason why, because it's not a bad franchise at all, and I definitely see the epicness of it, and I definitely see why they're lo and behold classics to, so many people, old and young, and, they're still to this day being introduced to really young children and teens, and it holds its value and it ages well and it merits everything that it is. Everything's been said about Star Wars, so I don't really know exactly how I'm going to structure these reviews. I'm not going to. I mean, everybody knows pretty much the majority of what I'm going to say. This is really a rediscovery for me with the Star Wars franchise because I'm going to be reviewing them first of all in the years that they came out. So I'm starting with 4, 5, and 6, then I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to do 7, 8, and 9. And I'm also going to do the Star Wars stories, Solo, A Star Wars Story, and Rogue One. I'm probably not going to do the franchises and sorry, not the franchises, the episode, like the TV series. I'm not going to be doing any of the miniseries or the cartoons or animated stuff. I'm probably not going to. I'm saying probably because maybe I'll get to them, but as of now, I'm just doing the films themselves, which is the original 9 in the franchise plus the side stories that came out. So, A New Hope, 1977, Star Wars, the original one that set off everything by George Lucas. It's also going to be interesting to. I wish I had my hands on the original film that came out because I know there's been a lot of changes to it, and that's going to be a shame in itself. In visiting like A New Hope, for example, where added CGI was put in. There's that scene with oh my God, what's his name? Jabba the Hutt. Sorry. Where the original scene in the original 1977 film was cut out, and apparently they used like a practical effect on Jabba the Hutt. And in the re-release of A New Hope, they added him in again, the same scene, but with Jabba the Hutt CGI'd. And I was watching it, and I'm like, that looks really good for 77. How did they use CGI in 77? And that's when I realized that that whole scene was cut out in the first place. And even in putting that CGI scene, and I think they did it in 1997, it's still better than sci-fi and asylum films. The TV films that are being released today, like in the 2020s, that don't even compare to CGI that they had the capability of doing in 1997. It's really crazy. But I mean, I'll go rapid speed through the story because, like I said, everybody watching this review probably knows Star Wars frame by frame. This is the one where R2-D2 and C-3PO are split up from Princess Leia. Princess Leia is captured from her ship and taken to the Death Star, and she sends a message to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Luke Skywalker's planet, and Luke Skywalker is introduced to C-3PO and R2-D2, and they are originally sold to him by these little creatures, which I wrote down here as brown-hooded, robed, gold-eyed troll people, before I realized what they were called, because a lot of the characters and creatures in these films, I don't even know by name, kind of thing. Like, I am a very casual Star Wars fan at best, like I said. And there's so many, too. Even being more of a fan of Lord of the Rings, I don't know every single freaking name of everything in Lord of the Rings either. So basically, Leia has a message that she recorded in the R2D2 bot from the rebellion to be taken to Leia's father on planet Alderaan, and Luke Skywalker takes it upon himself to go rescue Leia on the Death Ship or Death Star that they created. The plans of the Death Star are all in R2's memory system as well. Luke Skywalker and the droids meet Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, famously made by Harrison Ford, classic character, and we're introduced to the Millennium Falcon, which is a huge part of the movie, and a fan favorite, being one of the biggest ships in the Star Wars universe. And they fly off to Alderaan, and when they get there, the entire planet has been completely destroyed by the Death Star, which is crazy to imagine. An entire planet, like just picturing Earth just blowing up and disintegrating into nothing, and putting that idea in your head is terrifying. So the idea of a planet being able to be completely destroyed by one single laser is pretty scary stuff. I'm sure it was scarier stuff in the 70s when this came out. And I really like how, all the aliens are costumes and practical. Like I said, outside of the CGI that was added in the 90s. And again, going back to this being something that I would have loved, or would still love to experience, the original 77 film if I could find it somewhere. Like if they played it in a theater or something as it was shown in 1977, that is something that I would pay money to go see, because that would be an amazing experience to see the original film the way it was supposed to be without everything added in. I really like the cantina scene, or like the bar scene where the aliens are playing like the jazz music and everything, and that's where you really get the creature designs and everything, and just the way like you can tell it's people in costumes, but everything is really aesthetically done professionally, and really like attention to detail is precise on these things. The one alien, I can't help but seeing balls on his chin. It just looks like two really giant testicles on the bottom of his chin. I'm sure you know exactly what alien I'm talking about. Chewbacca, again, another classic character, looks great. And Han Solo is certainly my favorite character. I might even like Han Solo even more than Luke Skywalker. And I definitely got a bigger appreciation of Princess Leia too. Why am I blanking on the actress that played her? It's a shame. Fuck's sakes. Carrie Fisher. Jesus, how do you... Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. I definitely got a new appreciation for her as well. And you have the climax, the battle with the Death Star, and I love the actor who played Obi-Wan Kenobi in this film too. And here's just something I've always found strange when watching this film as a kid. Watching all the films as a kid, I should say. Obi-Wan's death, and again, since I haven't revisited this film in such a long time, and this almost feels like a revisit because it's probably been a decade, no lie, since I've seen this film. Obi-Wan Kenobi's fight with Vader is strangely choreographed, because they don't do much. They kind of just go like this and just back and forth, up and down with the sabers, and they're battling each other. And I've always found it strange when Luke comes in and then Obi gives him this look and kind of this like smile, like, I know, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And then he kind of almost bows out and Vader kills him. But it's the only scene in the whole franchise where somebody is struck with a lightsaber and just disintegrates. Like, you don't need, like, and then his clothes fall down, and I'm assuming there's ash underneath. But the saber doesn't even cut his robe. It just disintegrates him into nothing. He just vanishes, and his clothes remain. So the saber didn't cut his robe or anything like that. It just made him vanish. But every other time, that never happens. When somebody is struck with a saber, they don't disappear. They just die or get burnt or whatever, like Liam Neeson's character in Episode 1. We'll get there, though. But yeah, I just... That scene comes off as very different, and this is the first film, so obviously George Lucas might have came up with different ideas and everything. But it's very noticeable how different that battle and that death is. And it's a sad death because, like I said, Obi-Wan Kenobi, even before episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out, already, like, grounded himself as such an important character, even without the backstory that you got later on in the early 2000s. I still love, and this whole movie, this whole franchise is now basically a meme in itself, but I still love that scene where the stormtrooper bangs his head on the door that comes up, and they actually put a sound effect on it, so it's said to have been a mistake, like a movie mistake, and on YouTube videos it's played off as a movie mistake, but they put a sound effect on it, so was it on purpose? It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if George Lucas again did that in the new edit in 1997, where he put a sound effect on it after noticing that it was a mistake, just to make it seem like it's part of the movie. But I mean, that and so many quotes alone in this film, like "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Um, this film is just filled with quotes that are now memes or punchlines in pop culture. Like, it's it's just a pop culture franchise entirely. So revisiting these films are such a treat, and putting yourself in the perspective of what it must have been like watching this film for the first time before any of its popularity came about is really neat to think about. And I think that's why this franchise holds so much history with it. The hyperspace scenes look great. Everything in the Death Star is silly, and kind of you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit when they're disguising themselves as stormtroopers, and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker are infiltrating the whole place, and the security on the Death Star is absolute shit. I mean, fuck, like anybody can invade that place. Anybody. Friggin' when C-3PO distracts the stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers look at them because they're caught, but the stormtroopers don't capture them or realize that anything is wrong. I understand when Obi-Wan Kenobi does, because Obi-Wan Kenobi is using the Force to manipulate the stormtroopers' minds and make them kind of, distracted, so he can get away with it because he has the Force to use, he has power, but C-3PO doesn't. So the fact that they just let C-3PO go once they catch C-3PO with R2-D2, I didn't understand that at all. But I mean, it is what it is. The garbage disposal scene was cool, but the final battle was the coolest, and I like how Obi-Wan Kenobi's spirit talks to Luke and aids him in the battle, and then you get the really funny explosion of this entire Death Star, which just again vanishes into nothing, and it's just this little sparky explosion kind of thing. It's classic for all the right reasons. I mean, it's ridiculous when you really think about it, but it's still a classic movie that it just plays to all audiences, young, old, everybody. Just anybody can have a good time with Star Wars. It's just not a franchise that I ever fell in love with and became obsessed with, really. Like I said, I'm always going to be more of a Lord of the Rings guy. I should review the Lord of the Rings movies on this channel at some point. But we shall see what happens with that. That whole scene where they're shooting at the sentry ships and taking them out, it just feels like a total arcade game, the way everything was set up, with their chairs, like, moving side to side. And I kept thinking of, like, the video games that exist today that are even that realistic, especially now that we're in the virtual reality era of things. I'm sure there's virtual reality games that you can play today that look even better than what was filmed in 1977. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, that entire sequence, all I could think about was a video game. It was pretty awesome. And another quote: "The Force is strong with this one," by Vader when he's battling with Luke around the Death Star. So this film really kicked off things. And I know that George Lucas already had plans for a trilogy, but even it's hard to say if this film would stand alone on its own well enough. I'd say no, because of the popularity of it and because of how much you can do with this film. Like, to just say, oh, all we needed is A New Hope, and all the other films were kind of just cash grabs. You can't say that, because you do need at least the trilogy. Do you need the backstory with episodes 1 to 3? Probably not. Do you need the new franchise? Which, by the way, I haven't seen any of. I've seen clips of The Force Awakens, but that'll be a first time watch, and Return of the Jedi, or not Return of the Jedi, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker I've never seen at all. So those will be first time watches. And this is going to be a fun franchise to review, like I said, because I haven't seen them in ages, and I've never been a Star Wars nut. So it's just going to be fun to really get a new perspective on things, and it's going to be fun it's going to be fun to see what other people, especially if other people are watching this videos and are massive Star Wars fans, what they think of an idiot like me. Especially when I said that I like Lord of the Rings better. Who knows? I might get shot for making these videos. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's the New Hope for Star Wars, the one that started it all. And more reviews are coming. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, more Star Wars videos, more all kinds of videos, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel, and more videos to come. Until next time, have a good one. Take care and cheers.